Welcome, my name is Barney Reese. I am the author of How Blessed You Are in God's Promises. I am actually reading it to you. We are on chapter 30. I thought it was 27, but we're on chapter 30. I guess I'm moving faster than I think. Anyway, the book is coming along quite well. I hope you're enjoying it. This is kind of hard for me to read, but I'm reading this because I know somebody out here needs to hear it. Somebody out here needs to be able to get up. Somebody needs to understand how this stuff works and why it works so greatly. This is why I consider myself a life coach, because of the things that I've been through. And it started at a very young age, and I have just had to keep pushing myself harder than most people do. So I'm hoping this is helping and resonate to people that are going through things they can't understand. Maybe it's an addiction problem, maybe it's alcoholic, maybe it's the loss of a loved one, whatever the case may be. I hope this book, you will treasure it, and I hope that you will listen to what I'm telling you to help you. This is why I'm doing this. No other reason. So I hope you enjoy it, and we'll continue. Chapter 30, Your Joy, and this is going to be, I believe, part 7. I, at the time, was settled to basic training, and I still hated the bugle in the morning, and having no hair was no fun neither. I still had dreams, and I also thought I was a Christian, and that the Creator was going to take care of me. Well, in the Air Force, we had a lot of gun-ho men. They were very ambitious, so they were always trying to impress the drill sergeants. See, in the military, they are supposed to break you down and rebuild you, make you all you can be. Well, I had a patio duty, which is you take a water canteen and a brush and scrub up pigeon droppings. And I would do this every night before I went to sleep. What I want you to understand, I was thrown out of my squadron twice. I had a guy that was 4 inches taller than me, had a 10-inch foot, and I was near the front because of my height, and I wore size 12, so I basically half-stepped everywhere. I just could not stay in step no matter how hard I tried. I also had one of the drill sergeants talk about my deceased father and ridiculed everything I did. I could not do anything right in this guy's eyes no matter how hard I tried. I studied and I shined my boots, made my bed, and did the best I could. I ended up crying in anger. My girlfriend had not written me one letter since I was gone. I had a drill sergeant that stayed on me every day, and he would say, you got a college education? You? I bet your father was just like you. Now, I guess I made it by the grace of God. Believe it or not, when you leave your family, the squadron you are in becomes your friend and family. Y'all are all in the same boat, so you try to help one another. Because after all, this is basic training, so by chance you're going to basic training and you are unfortunate enough to be picked on, just remember 6 weeks. I had gotten braces off my teeth, so when the guy who finished eating would get through eating, it would be time to go. I lost about 10 pounds or more through basic training. After about 6 weeks of always picking on me with the same drill sergeant ridiculing my deceased father, I had enough. He threatened to hit me, and I smiled at him like, come on, put your hands on me. I will break your neck, to say the least. I was at Chow, and all these feelings of disappointment that I was having for the loss of the 2 women I had cared about, and homesick, and this out-of-shape fat doughboy being on me every single day, I started crying, and it was tears of anger. I had enough, and I was fixing to go to someone for this abuse. I had lost my father. I had taken martial arts since I was 17. I had gone to college for 2 years, and I was only 22 years old. I really do not know what happened, but this guy just left me alone after that. In fact, I graduated after being told I was going to be recycled over 100 times. See, I guess he realized, so he pushed my buttons too far. Maybe the creative universe changed his heart. I do not know, but at the least he left me alone. Our flight was honor flight. We sprinted the mile, and I have to say, we are a lot better than our brother flight. I had made it to the Air Force. I was going to be an F-16 tactical technician, or F-16 crew chief for short. I thought I had made it through hell and survived, and now I was off into the blue yonder. I had made it somehow. I thought I was off to tech school, and I was into the Air Force, and I was going to be an F-16 crew chief, and maybe one day have my name on the side of the F-16. I later learned that was just a dream, but I never realized that my recruiter had put me in a career field that I was not very good at. After all, he was my friend. I went to the tech school. It was in the morning. Well, I remember the blue rope tell me how wonderful a morning it was and what a beautiful day. I did not see this, nor did I care to see this. See, I would study for hours to understand on how to be a mechanic. I would be in a class for 8 hours a day, and we would march to tech school. After 2 weeks, I was exhausted. I had always kept my boots and uniform iron. This was the Air Force, I thought, and I quickly learned that even though I had the scores on my ASVAB, I was not much of a mechanic. I somehow managed to make a C plus. I had made some friends, and I'd even had my car brought down from home. While I was in Texas, I realized how much I hated the weather there, and where we were located, we were treated like second-class citizens. I remember having a problem with my radiator, so I took my 1997 Red Firebird in to have my radiator fixed on my car. To the shop it had to fix. Yep, I was a mechanic, left and now. It was in the shop I got a burnt valve. Of course, it was because of the radiator leak, but that was not the case. I still believe they took my car for a joyride. I just could not prove it. I later had to take it to the shop to have my burnt valve fixed. I had not received not one letter from Liliana, the girl that I had asked to marry her, and since I had nothing to offer her, I had declined the girl I cared about, and I would see her again, I thought. After all, Texas was only a few months. I had made friends, and we were just cruising around, trying to pick up local women, and guess what? We never did. This must be the armpit of Texas. I could not wait to leave. Here it was only a few months, and I was going to be stationed in the States, hopefully not overseas. I finally got to come home for 2 weeks. I was so excited I was going to see Liliana and hopefully see Stephanie too. But I thought that maybe Liliana would still want me after we had dated for over 2 years. I was 22 and she was a couple years older, but I cared for her deeply, and I was hoping to have a family with her. Either way, I would know soon enough. I got home and I called her, which she dodged me for quite some time. But she finally went out with me, and I remember her telling me, never look back and focus only forward. I did not realize this, but she was saying goodbye, and then she gave me a kiss goodbye. In the meantime, I went out with Stephanie as well. Since Lana was busy, I was not married, I thought. I could do whatever I wanted. We just partied and had fun, and when it was time to leave, Stephanie told me I would date you, but you are leaving, and I'm here. Good luck, and goodbye, Barney. I went to the airport with my orders and got on a plane from Meridian to Atlanta, then from Atlanta to Philadelphia airport, and then on another airplane to Avellino, Italy. It was in October of 1994. I entered the Air Force in March of 1994 after tech school. It was October 1994. It was my first flight ever, and I did not realize how badly the two women that I cared about would affect me so much. When they both told me goodbye, I never realized the effect that this would have on me and just how depressed I would become. But I said okay, and then I was in the Air Force. It was exciting. Then when I finally, after my brief setup, I was put in a smaller dorm than the others, and I would be rooming with a staff sergeant that had gotten in trouble for drinking, or so he was my roommate. I decided to make the best of it, and for a while I thought I had made it through, although I wanted to do my best, and one day I would show them all what I would do. The funny thing about depression, it does not hit you right away. It's more like cancer, and I was working days. I remember the boss for nights said, "You are going to nights in 2 weeks." I laughed, and I had just got there. I had heard an F-16 fighter jet and an F-18 for the first time. I was shocked at how loud they were. I would learn to work on this jet because I would not see daylight shift until I was ready to leave. So I went to the night check, and guess I was settling in with a new career. I was very homesick. I was working nights with a 2 p.m. till 10:30 p.m. or later since. I was the lowest of all the other crew chiefs. I was forced to work over quite often. I remember the other thing I had going for me was my martial arts training. I would do that quite often, but it was not the same. Nor could I make it the same. I was slowly realizing the pain that I was. I just wanted to work and sleep and eat. Occasionally, I would call my mom and talk for hours with no avail. It did not help. I took Italian classes trying to learn the language and enjoyed the culture. I stayed in my room after reading books from the little library when I was not working. I realized homesick, the two women I cared about were gone, and I had no one. I had made very few friends, but I still continued to train on my own in martial arts and never missed a single day, the time I was there in the Air Force. I was not prepared for how cold it was in Avellino, Italy. I had bought a car a few weeks after I had gotten there, and I had gotten out there only 2 weeks. It stopped, and it ended up costing me over $1,000 to fix it. Lucky my roommate, Paul, was able to lend me the money, and I ate sandwiches for 2 weeks. I was becoming more depressed, and it was very likely, like every girl I ever met noticed or sensed this. I also was working nights, and being that small mountain in Avellino, it was cold in Italy, especially at night. See, I did not see how beautiful Italy was. I did not realize how, in a beautiful country, I did not realize these Italian women were some of the most beautiful women in the world. I did not realize or see how their culture was so different from ours. I did not realize how big their discotecas was and how very unique an experience this could be. Instead, all I could do was focus on what I had lost, the people I had loved. All I could do was focus on coming home and